now on the CTV News at 5. Another student walkout in support of teachers. Plus, how the province plans to look at class size and complexity. And making trick-or-treating safe.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Students across Alberta walked out of classes again today as part of a province-wide demonstration. They are protesting against teachers being forced back to work without a new deal they agreed on. A group of about 40 students at LCI took part in the walkout this morning. This is the second day in a row a group of LCI students have walked out of class in protest. Many wore red in a further show of support for teachers. Much of the group feel that it is up to them to protest in place of their teachers. They're also calling the use of the notwithstanding clause an attack on workers' rights.
One of the biggest things is community. I want to be here and I want everybody else to be here. The important thing is to not be divided and stand together and to be in support of our teachers who have had their right to strike infringed on.
Another walkout is planned for tomorrow at Catholic Central High School. It's unknown if walkouts will continue next week. Meanwhile, the Alberta branch of the Canadian Bar Association is criticizing the province's use of the notwithstanding clause when forcing teachers back to work. The Bar Association says the clause should only be used as a last resort and after courts have had a chance to examine the legislation. The group also criticizes the UCP for putting time limits on legislative debate and says both moves undermine the constitutional and human rights that protect Albertans. Now, meantime, the province is releasing more details about its plan to address classroom size and complexity. School boards will be responsible for providing data on the size of classes as well as the different types of students in schools. Incidents of aggression and violence will also be tracked. School boards have until November 24th to submit their data. By January, those numbers will be made public and then released annually. The province says its classroom size and complexity task force will ensure that every student gets the attention and support they need to succeed. More details about that will be provided in the coming weeks. Now, south of the border, the U.S. Senate has passed legislation that would nullify Donald Trump's tariffs imposed on Canada.
Tariffs are hurting our economy, hurting our citizens, hurting our businesses.
While the resolutions won't ultimately take effect, they have been proven to be an effective way for Democrats to expose cracks between the president's trade policy and Republican senators who have traditionally supported free trade. The 50-46 tally was the latest in a series of votes this week to terminate the National Emergencies Act that the President Trump has used to impose those tariffs. All right, Danielle Savoni is here, which means we get to talk about the forecast and less wind out there today, Danielle.
Yeah, remember yesterday, that was very, very gusty and closer to 100 kilometers per hour in many communities. And today it's a lot calmer. This is more like the wind you can expect tomorrow as well when we're talking Halloween. And we'll get more into a forecast on Halloween in just a moment here. But first, just a quick look at temperatures. It's 9 degrees in Lethbridge. We are looking at temperatures predominantly in those single digits right now, but it's 10 in Brooks and it's 10 in Milk River right now. 9 in Medicine Hat, Pincher Creek, Lethbridge, Calgary, and Drumheller. It will warm up in this longer term forecast. I'll show you that coming up as well, Jackie.
All right, thanks, Danielle. Well, with Halloween nearly here, there will be lots of ghosts and goblins out for some trick-or-treating fun tomorrow night. The Lethbridge Police Service is reminding trick-or-treaters, parents, and motorists to be safe. Officers say trick-or-treating in groups is best. Stay in well-lit areas and only visit homes with their lights on. While dressing up is part of the fun, police say it is important to still be visible and wear something reflective. With many out and about, officers are also asking drivers to slow down, watch for children, and be patient.
It is one of those holidays that's truly meant to be fun. It's meant to be a time where you can get out kind of your inner kid, if anything, where lots of adults even dress up and have a lot of fun with doing that. So we encourage you to have fun, but with that fun, please don't drink and drive.
The police service is also getting in on the fun with its annual Trunk or Treat event. Officers will be at the Logan Boulet Arena, Henderson Lake Park, and Nicholas Sharon Park tomorrow night handing out candy. Meanwhile, a Blairmore man will serve federal time on child pornography charges. 36-year-old William McQueen was arrested and charged with possessing and accessing child pornography in April as part of an alert investigation. Officers say that McQueen was identified as a suspect after authorities followed up on a tip submitted to the RCMP's National Child Exploitation Center. Alert says McQueen was arrested by ICE for similar offenses in October of 2019. McQueen was sentenced to 3 years in custody. He was given credit for 4 months served. Charges of distributing and selling child pornography, along with 2 weapons charges, were withdrawn. However, McQueen was given a firearms prohibition. Fraud and cybercrime cost Canadians more than $630 million last year in various scams, and many of the victims were seniors. A couple contacted CTV News to say what started with a pop-up on their computer screen ended up with them losing their life savings. CTV's Pat Foran reports.
In Brantford, a couple were living their lives and enjoying their retirement, but in March, while using their computer, a warning popped up.
I couldn't get rid of it. I tried Control-Alt-Delete. And it wouldn't go away. It wouldn't turn off.
The man and woman, both in their 70s, asked us not to identify them as they're still coping with losing their entire life savings. When they called the number on the screen, they were told their accounts had been hacked and it appeared he was involved in criminal activity.
My SIN number had been compromised and was being used for money laundering by a criminal organization that was involved in child pornography, human trafficking, and drugs.
They were told their money in the bank was at risk of being stolen and they needed to get it out to protect it. After 2 months of grooming the couple with daily calls, they told them to take their money out by purchasing gold bars and to put some in a Bitcoin machine. They purchased $900,000 in gold and over $100,000 in Bitcoin. The criminals said they would hold on to the money to keep it safe and give it back when the investigation was complete. Despite warnings from their bank, they still went through with it.
But our financial advisor warned us.
Yeah.
She said, oh, this sort of sounds like fraud.
Eventually, when they had no more money to give, the scammers cut off all contact with them. That's when they realized they'd been duped.
Oh, we're devastated. It sounds very foolish that somebody would do something like this, but it was the trust that was built up over 5 months.
Every day, Canadians are losing their life savings.
The Canadian Association of Retired Persons, CARP, says banks need to do more to protect vulnerable seniors from scams.
Canadian banks should be doing more beyond education, but really setting up the infrastructure to protect seniors.
The couple says they're now financially ruined, and the chance of recovering any of the funds is almost zero.
It was money that we invested over our lives. It was money that we inherited. It was money from the sale of our house. It was
money we were going to leave our son.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Nearly 300 animals have been seized in northern Alberta after a large-scale rescue operation. 16 animal welfare agencies from across the province were part of the 4-day operation in Valley View, with the Alberta Animal Rescue Crew Society, or ARCS, assisting RCMP in the operation. 290 animals were found living in extremely poor conditions, including dogs, cats, and livestock. Several organizations are now looking for homes for these animals.
Foster homes are going to be the most important thing so that we can make space. We still have 16 dogs that don't have placement and that are looking for somewhere to go. So the more homes that we can open up with fosters, the better, and the more places that these animals will have to go.
A few animals had to be euthanized on site. RCMP say more information will be released once charges are laid. Lethbridge Polytechnic has joined the inaugural Consortium for the Artificial Intelligence Workforce Readiness Program, the national initiative led by Amy to close the AI skills gap and prepare the next generation of workers. 29 polytechnics, colleges, and universities in the country are using the program, which is benefiting more than 125,000 students. The resources will focus on giving students the AI competencies they need, including reading and discussion materials, real-world use cases, and videos and lab assessments.
It is radically changing the way in terms of how we teach, what we teach, and how we assess. I've often heard stories of students writing essays through AI. So what does that mean for us in terms of how we change our assessments, we change our methodologies, that students are now looking towards criticizing from a critique perspective the content rather than creating the content, so they help to learn how to do content development.
The program also allows faculty the opportunity to develop AI resources for their classes and integrate AI into existing programs and courses. The Chinook Regional Hospital is putting out an urgent call for donations. The hospital has run out of stuffed animals to give patients. The supply of stuffies is usually provided by donation drives such as the Hurricanes Teddy Bear Toss and Southern Alberta Bikers Teddy Bear Ride. Alberta Health Services volunteers are now accepting donations to make sure children received a stuffed toy at the hospital. A donation bin is available at the south end of the hospital atrium until November the 16th. And the Chinook Regional Hospital Foundation has received a very generous donation from a pair of longtime community supporters. Dennis and Sylvia Chinner have gifted the foundation a $130,000 securities to support the Bringing Hearts Home campaign. Both Chinners have personal connections to the cause, as each of their fathers faced cardiac health challenges. The fundraiser campaign is hoping to raise $30 million, and the Chinners' gift brings the foundation's running total to $12.4 million. Well, as the weather changes, so too is the city's pickup for green carts. Starting November the 4th, the city is switching to a bi-weekly pickup. The seasonal approach to collection stems from various yard waste and addresses the odor factor during the warmer months. With household organics, more than 18 million kilograms of organic waste has been diverted from the landfill since 2023. The city says putting your items in a paper bag or cardboard box can help keep the bins clean. All right, we have weather coming up with Danielle right after this break. Also, BC Children's Hospital is sharing new research about bone marrow transplants.
Here's your Skywatch weather camera on a really nice day. Not as warm today, but not as windy today, which is the key. And we will not have crazy wind gusts for Halloween, but it will be a little bit on the windy side. We'll talk the wind forecast in just a second. 10 degrees was the high so far in Calgary. So Calgary got into the double digits, and many other communities either did just barely or got close to it anyway, sitting around that 9 and 10 mark for many areas, as you can see here. Okay, here's a look at winds today, which is much better than the 90s we had in this corridor from Crozes past Pincher Creek over to Lethbridge. So we're in the 30s. We're looking at about 40 km/h gusts in many communities, including this corridor here for tomorrow for trick-or-treating time. So a little on the breezy side. So make sure, you know, the costumes are intact and ready to go for a little bit of a wind. And a similar idea for Medicine Hat as well. Okay, radar showing you a couple of things here. We do have some cloud cover pushing in. We talked about the small chance of isolated showers today along the Trans-Canada. Maybe even seeing a couple raindrops in Medicine Hat over the next hour or so, but then this really quiets down and moves on out. But the forecast for tomorrow starts with a lot of sunshine. So the day looks really nice. Trick-or-treating time, a little more cloud cover. Maybe that's fitting. Does it make it a little spookier? I don't know. Anyway, mainly sunny skies, as you can see, for the morning hours, and then the clouds increase around those supper hours, trick-or-treating time. You can also see on this model here, it's showing little pockets of rain. There is a small chance of seeing a couple raindrops, and if you get that at all, it's very isolated and it's very short-lived, and it won't amount to really anything at all. Saturday looks a little messier later in the day, as you can see here. We'll have some spillover, Pincher Creek, Crowsnest Pass of some moisture, but it should stop there. And everywhere else to the east of that should not be dealing with any sort of moisture on Saturday, but certainly some cloud cover and windy at times. -4 tonight in the East Kootenay area, fog patches, wind chill of -6. So you're looking at a wind chill tomorrow morning of -6 to kick off the day, but then sunshine and 8 degrees as the high. Crowsnest Pass -4 tonight, wind chill of -8. And morning wind chill -8 as well, but then we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud, high of 11. It will be gusty up to about 40-50 km/h in the Crowsnest Pass, Pincher Creek area. Medicine Hat, -8 is the wind chill tonight and tomorrow morning. Gusts around 40 km/h. That says 50. It is possible, but most likely you're looking at about 40, and a high of 12 with a mix of sun and cloud. All right, let's talk this longer range forecast. Halloween, first of all, for Lethbridge, 14 is our high for tomorrow. So it's a warm day. So you're looking at warm weather for trick-or-treating. We are looking at gusts around 40 kilometers per hour during trick-or-treating time, and mostly cloudy skies. Mainly sunny on Saturday, even warmer at 15 degrees. Remember, we gain an hour on Sunday, and on Sunday you're looking at a high of 11.
Bone marrow transplants have saved countless lives, but are not without their risks. But as Martin McMahon reports, new research from BC Children's Hospital is providing new hope.
For childhood leukemia patients, bone marrow transplants are one of the few options available. And while up to 80 to 90% of those transplants are successful, there's a significant risk of chronic graft versus host disease, or GVHD.
When we transplant this brand new immune system in, it can reject the entire body, and that can actually, people die of that, or it can cause a chronic disease.
GVHD can lead to devastating consequences.
I've even had one adult say to me, if I had known what this disease, this chronic graft versus host disease was, I don't know if I would have had the transplant and be cured of my leukemia in the first place. I'm not sure the suffering I've had over these 10 years or 20 years is worth it.
But work from Schultz's team at the BC Children's Hospital Research Institute offers new hope. They've identified that GVHD has 3 subtypes, with early data showing one type responds to standard steroid treatment, while one doesn't.
Our goal is to not only get that cure rate and that cure from this type of therapy, but also to get it safe enough that people go on and have a completely normal life.
For parents like Katharina Sagan, who now works at BC Children's Hospital after seeing her own son go through childhood leukemia, this research provides hope.
Hope means that you will be able to get married, you will be able to graduate, you will be able to finish high school, university, drive, and do a lot of the things that normal adults, normal young adults can do.
Sagan's son Bailey was actually treated by Dr. Schultz 20 years ago.
With a lot of the research that's coming out right now, it does give a lot of families a fighting chance and better outcomes.
As for Bailey, he survived childhood leukemia, even going on to play football for Vancouver College, with hopes this research will allow others to live similarly full lives. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, we hear what it is like being the voice of the Toronto Blue Jays when we come back. Welcome back. The Lethbridge Hurricanes and Edmonton Oil Kings met last night for a midweek tilt, and it quickly turned into a high-scoring barn burner. Edmonton came out of the gates hot, scoring 3 times in the opening 5 minutes. Lethbridge would score with a pair of goals from Hudson Kibblewhite and Logan Wormold. From there, the two sides would trade goals to finish a wild first period, 5-3 in Edmonton's favor. Now, the Oil Kings stayed hot, scoring twice more in the second to make it 7-3. Early in the third, Luke Cousins would look to spark a comeback. He scored twice in just over 6 minutes to give Lethbridge life. But the comeback would stall out as the Canes went on to lose 8-6. The Toronto Blue Jays are 1 game away from winning the World Series, and last night's game in Los Angeles began in spectacular fashion.
Game 5 is underway with a fly ball to deep left. Gone!
The Jays' Davis Schneider hit the first pitch of the game over the left field wall for a solo home run. Then the next batter, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., hits another home run to make it 2-0, and that's all the scoring the Jays needed as they held the Dodgers to only 1 run. Pitcher Trey Savage recorded 12 strikeouts, the most ever for a rookie in a World Series game.
Yeah, it's a crazy world, Hollywood couldn't have made it this good. So just being a part of this, I'm just very blessed.
The final score in that game, 6-1, giving the Blue Jays a 3-2 lead in the World Series. Now, the Blue Jays flew back to Toronto overnight, and they will play Game 6 Friday night. Now to the Ontario man who holds one of the biggest jobs in Canadian sports right now. He is the PA announcer for every Blue Jays home game and is calling his very first World Series. CTV's Amanda Hicks has that story.
So today, here we are in the audio control room.
Tim Langton's voice sets the tone for every Blue Jays game held in Toronto. He's been the team's public address announcer for the last 2 decades, but he didn't get his start under bright stadium lights. It all began in his hometown of Kirkland Lake.
I wound up being told of a job at CJKL, little radio station up in Kirkland Lake, and it was news, and I said, don't send anybody else. This is my job. And she told the news director at the time, and he liked that, so he hired me. And that's where it all started.
That experience led him to radio stations across the province before he eventually landed a job in the audio department in what was then called the Sky Dome. Langton still uses an old-fashioned scorecard to keep his eye on every play, and he describes the character he brings to the mic as big and loud to hype up the fans.
When I say Vladimir Guerrero when we're sitting here talking, but when I say it on the mic, it's Vladimir Guerrero. So there, there's a little bit of a difference there. And it's fun to do that, to be a little different and just to take it a little farther. So that's kind of where the character, it's brash, the character's brash, in your face, and a big fan.
Now, Langton is calling his first World Series something he says is a privilege.
Game 1, I had butterflies like I haven't had since my very first game. It really hasn't landed yet. It still seems kind of surreal that here we are after all these years and coming close, and it's almost unbelievable still.
Langton is one of only 3 PA announcers in Blue Jays history. He attributes a majority of his success to his early beginnings in Kirkland Lake, demonstrating a big voice can come from a small town. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, we show you a little pachyderm pumpkin fun when we come back. Halloween isn't just fun for trick-or-treaters.
Squash, yes. Oh!
An elephant calf at the Oregon Zoo is showing off some Halloween tricks. Taluta has turned a small pumpkin into a toy. It all started with an annual fall event where they give the elephants pumpkins to crush. But Talua, well, didn't crush hers and is instead kicking around like a ball. Seriously entertaining for anyone watching. Playing in a splash pad is always fun, even with friends and even for the feathered kind. These ducks were so excited to get a bigger splash pad that could not contain themselves. After a big day of playing in the water, though, the flock had a big nap in the sun. Thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.